This is 7 National News making headlines. UAE donates $1 million to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. The 4th COMESA Investment Forum commences. And concerns rise over radiation found in food and water in Japan. In our top story this evening, President His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan has received at his palace Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Also in attendance was Abu Dhabi Crown Prince and Deputy Supreme Commander of UAE Armed Forces, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and ruler's representative in the Western region, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Zayed Al Nahyan, as well as other delegates. During the meeting, they reviewed a number of issues concerning the UAE and the people. Under the guidance of President His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan and Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, and Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the UAE has donated $1 million to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Regional Office for the Middle East, North Africa and Central Asia, and the Regional Bureau of the Integrated Regional Information Network. As a result of this donation, the officers will be able to continue to provide essential services in support of regional aid organizations. With this donation, the UAE becomes the first Arab country to support IRIN's efforts of news gathering in the Arabic language, enabling the continuity of news coverage of disasters and humanitarian crises in the region. In partnership with Dubai Chamber of Commerce and Industry and under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, the 4th COMESA Investment Forum commenced today, bringing together policymakers, business leaders and senior managers from Africa's most successful companies to reveal new projects and highlight the business potential and opportunities within the common market of Eastern and Southern Africa's 19 member states. Lorda Sexton was there and has this report.
The Common Market for Eastern and Southern African region is the largest African economic bloc. It comprises of a total of 19 countries with a population of over 430 million, representing nearly half of Africa's total population and a combined GDP of $447 billion US.
It has lots of resources, both natural and others. It has a great potential in tourism, in agriculture, in energy, in you name it. It's quite a rich region. If it was a country on its own, it would have been the second largest country in the world in terms of size. They are about 11 million square kilometers. And in terms of population, would have been the 3rd largest country in the world. Now, they have all of these resources and they have all of these wealth, but they lack the correct and the right infrastructure that would enable them to take advantage of such great wealth that they have. So at JAVZA, or at the Economic Zone in Zone World, we can provide them with the facilities for them to do the packaging, the transporting, all of the logistics requirements that they want for their products to be able to reach to anywhere in the world.
The UAE is one of COMESA's main foreign trade partners. In 2009 alone, trade between both countries reached $2.5 billion, and Dubai is strategically located to provide a trading hub between COMESA and the European and Asian markets.
Dubai can offer a great trade link, and that is based on basically four imperatives. First of all, Dubai has a strong geographic locations. It has sound and adequate infrastructure, sound trade policy, business-friendly trade policy. It has a very good relationship with Asia, and that is manifested with our relationship with China. It has a long-standing relationship with Africa, especially with the COMESA. So Dubai logistic and trade infrastructure can provide platform businesses from Africa to come and basically to take advantage of the fact that there is an enormous trade exchange that's going on between Africa and China.
Dubai is very important, the commercial region, because we of proximity, but being at the center between Europe, between Asia, and also in the Gulf, being a central place in the Gulf region, it is very, very important that our countries in the commercial do investment exchange with Dubai. First of all, the commercial region is very well endowed with a lot of natural resources, a lot of good climate, a lot of products, and we think that Dubai, being rich in other areas like finance, we can get investors to come and invest in the commercial region.
According to the World Bank's Doing Business reports, various COMESA member states have been among the top 10 global reformers for the past 4 years. It also highlights that COMESA member states rank more highly on their ease of doing business than the BRIC countries, with the exception of China. This provides an ideal climate to create a strong investment partnership between the UAE and the COMESA region. Lourdes Sexton, 7 National News.
Sultan bin Zayed Al Mansouri, UAE Minister of Economy, discussed with Robert Hormats, Under Secretary of State for Economic Affairs of the US, ways of enhancing economic cooperation between the two countries. During the meeting, Al Mansouri briefed the American delegation on the UAE's focused initiatives to develop SMEs and to spread the culture of innovation. Al Mansouri highlighted that the UAE offers a strategic investment climate and business environment in the region and the world, and welcomed the strategic US investments. The UAE minister noted that the UAE is looking to increase trade with the US, which was valued at $12.2 billion in 2009, and to promote a balance in trade through the adoption of practical steps. Dr. Mariam Hassan Al-Shanasi, Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Environment and Water, has stressed that control has been tightened over imported food from the areas affected with radiation in Japan. She added that the ministry was working with all the competent authorities to ensure food imports were free from radiation. Al-Shanasi has assured citizens and residents that the laboratories in the UAE work with the highest efficiency to detect any radiation substances or others. 2 research projects are to be implemented in the capital to investigate the management and estimate future changes of water resources. According to a local newspaper, Abdul Aziz Al-Hajiri, chief executive of Abu Dhabi-based polymer producer Borouge, has stated that the projects will get 500,000 dirhams of funding. The announcement of the projects came during the launch of Water for the World and Troubled Waters exhibitions in Abu Dhabi to mark World Water Day. Additionally, researchers will investigate sustainability of groundwater in the UAE as part of the projects. Al Rolla Square in Sharjah is being developed into a 22 million dirham park that will be filled with fountains and lagoons and will be open to the public next year. The roller square was named after the planting of the first banjan or roller tree in the 1800s, which lasted up until 1978 and saw families gather for celebrations such as Eid and National Day. The square has been closed for the past 5 years, but the area is still heavily populated. The General Director of Sharjah Municipality, Sultan Al Muela, says that they have developed a unique plan for the square that meets modern standards and preserves the Emirates' heritage and Islamic style. 60% of the square will be made up of green areas and 40% of footpaths and fountains. The project is to be carried out in a series of phases. Looking abroad now, the nuclear situation in Japan is still of concern. Black smoke was seen rising today from the number 3 reactor of Japan's crippled Fukushima nuclear plant, and engineers battling to contain a radiation leak were evacuated. Other officials said the smoke was rising above the building housing the reactor. The radiation level at the nuclear plant were unusually high compared to levels over the past few days. With radiation fears spreading, anti-nuclear protesters gathered around the TEPCO office in Tokyo. However, experts have said that tiny traces of radioactive particles measured by a network of monitoring stations as they spread eastwards from Japan across the Pacific, North America, the Atlantic and to Europe were far too low to cause any harm to humans. Meanwhile, radiation exceeding health limits for infants was found in a Tokyo city water purifier, and authorities are advising that the water not be given to babies, according to a Tokyo metropolitan government official. Authorities also advise that the water not be added to powdered milk. The announcement comes as hundreds of workers are trying to restore power to the Tokyo Electric Power Co.'s nuclear power plant, but have been hindered by debris, water damage and spiking levels of radiation. Radiation contamination concerns are spreading both in and outside of Japan after radioactive substances were found in leafy vegetables grown around Fukushima and also from dairy farms operating in the area. Officials still insist, however, that there were no danger to humans and have urged the international community not to overact. Up next, Linda Berenger has the day's business news, so stay with us.